the criminal tried to escape punishment for a gruesome murder. However, another punishment caught up with him: the revenge of a ghost. Welcome to the channel of true shocking investigations conducted by people who call themselves psychics. Using their abilities, they look into mysteries of the past, unmask wrongdoers, and solve unbelievable mystical riddles. In this episode, the Clairvoyants challenge a poltergeist that's attacking an ordinary Ukrainian family. The mother of the family, Lyubov Havrilyuk, asked them to help after her family found human bones under their house's windows.
Over here, when they were laying gas pipes, the worker who was working here found the bones.
After a strange find, events that send chills started happening in the house.
It was about 3 in the morning. I woke up with a feeling as if somebody had ordered me to do it. I opened my eyes and rose, and then I saw a human silhouette standing in the room.
The unknown mysterious force started doing everything to make Lyubov's family leave the house.
For example, there are dishes in the kitchen, and then you hear clattering like something has exploded, and you see the dishes shatter into tiny pieces.
A glass burst itself in the cupboard. They've got some kind of bad energy there in the house.
Since then, the mother stopped leaving her children home, alone.
I'm afraid that something can happen to them. They're little. I can't even go outside without them. They never stay home alone.
To provide for his family, the father works abroad, and the woman lives in constant fear.
Lyubov was so scared that me and a few of our friends took turns spending the night at her home. We were sitting drinking coffee when we heard some distant noise. It was the noise of the door being opened and closed. Then we saw a shadow in the corridor. It resembled a human silhouette.
A human silhouette without legs, only the body and the head. My friend told me, "No offense, but I'll go," and she left me alone.
But the last straw for the mother was a nightmare, after which she became sure that the bones found by the family will bring death to her family.
In that dream, I saw 4 caskets, and a woman was lying on a bed next to the caskets. There are 5 people in my family.
They even had several cameras installed in the house to register the mystical phenomena. And what they saw in the recordings is absolutely surreal. First, the cameras begin losing the signal, and then things begin falling from the shelves. To stop the aggressive poltergeist, the most powerful psychics of Ukraine, Zhana Shulikova and Olena Kurilova, came to visit the family.
I had a dream of a white room. I heard children's laughter in it. It was so vibrant. When I entered, I saw a ginger girl, very cute and about 6 years old, riding a bicycle and pointing her finger upward to the skies. And there was a slipknot.
What slipknot?
For someone to hang themselves. But it was empty.
Soon afterward, the Clairvoyants arrive at the site. Lyubov meets them at her house. The father is at work, while the children are at school.
I've been looking forward to seeing you. Please help me. Human bones have been unearthed in my yard.
Over here, please, here. Was the hole here where I'm standing?
Yes, it was right over here.
It's so terrible. We saw the spirit whose bones had been disturbed. It was a man. He was telling us something, but I didn't understand him.
Are those the man's bones? But who was he? How come his bones ended up in this yard?
If you disturb someone's bones, the person will seek revenge. And a disturbed spirit wants to do only one thing to revenge: to take you to the netherworld. The bones lying here underground took a man with them. He died with his skull smashed. His head was broken.
One man who we hired, a worker, fell and died. After he found the bones, he took them and laughed, asking what he was supposed to do with them, and he died after he hit his head. His skull broke, and he died.
Had you taken the bones to the graveyard and buried there, you could have avoided the death.
Olena, what's wrong? Olena.
What are these? Why didn't you tell us? Here 1, and 2, and 3.
3 graves, 3 graves.
Dear Lord, is it a cemetery here?
The old people told us that there were bones down there.
Lyubov says that the local elderly told her where the 3 old graves had been, and Lyubov arranged a flower bed there on purpose. But she never knew about the 4th grave.
A military uniform.
Yes, I was told they were German graves. Could this be the reason? Should we remove them? Or would it better, what am I supposed to do?
I wouldn't even touch these 3. They're calm. These spirits aren't aggressive and they didn't attack, except one whose bones were found. But neither Lyubov nor her family disturbed the grave and they didn't touch the bones. He killed a stranger because he disturbed him. Despite everything, the grave that had been unearthed in the yard was radiating calm energy. Hold on, was a priest ever here?
He was.
This is why they're lying peacefully.
He gave them peace.
Then who's knocking in my house?
I sneak at a glance of a human silhouette behind the house. The only thing I saw was that their hands were covered in blood. Wait. Jana.
Olena. Olena, what is that?
Ah! The iron ladder. It was standing like this, but fell like that. It's awful. I was shocked. There's an iron ladder there, and it was standing firm on the ground. Even the wind, however strong, never knocked it down.
Next to the ladder, I saw a spirit of a man with bloody hands. And then I noticed he had a slipknot on his neck.
Who could he be? Some relative of mine?
I don't know. You see, he wasn't actually standing. His head was bent like this, and then his feet were above the ground. He was hanging.
As soon as Olena began describing the man's spirit, I heard some weird noise coming from inside the house. Come over here. I saw some dead woman's spirit, and she was repeating the same word over and over again. I think it was a name, Alina. Wait, she is standing. The woman is standing, definitely standing. Alina, who is this Alina?
I have no idea.
What's going on in this house? How many spirits are there active in it, and why?
I don't know who she is. Wait, take who and from where?
We couldn't understand what the deceased woman's spirit was trying to tell us. Who is she anyway? And who is that Alina? And what are we supposed to take?
I decided to take my pendulum and work with it. The gate to the yard. I asked the pendulum where the woman's spirit came from, and it led me to a mob. Where are we going? Give me your hand.
What is your name?
Olena.
Do you hear knocking in your house? Footsteps and squeaks of rapping.
Yes, I've experienced it. I heard the steps and rapping. I thought somebody was knocking on the window pane because the dogs began barking. I went outside but saw nobody, but it felt like someone had put a hand on my knee.
Does this mean the unknown force has been creating chaos not only in Lyubov's house?
This is my mother.
Both the mother and the daughter experience absolutely identical events in their houses. I had a feeling that some unearthly force was bound to this family. But the question is, why?
I suggested going to Olena's house and try working there.
There was such powerful necrotic energy around the house that I even feared to step into the yard. Let's go and check in the house.
I'm trembling.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Screaming, blood, and somebody's hands washing something. I saw a clear picture of the house's walls splashed with blood and some man wiping them out hastily, as if he were trying to cover up traces of a murder. Olena. Olena. Where's Olena? Olena, what are you doing here?
There's a little girl here, 7 or 8 years old, and in any case, not more than 10. She's a spirit. It was the same ginger girl from the vision I had the other day.
Was there a child that was murdered in your yard?
No.
She, the little girl, says, I'm playing with her. Is there any little girl living in your house?
Yes. Olenka, come here, please. There she's coming.
Hello, darling. Are you Olenka?
Yes.
Olenka is Lyubov's niece.
Wait, stay here. Please, have you seen a little girl?
Yes. She was standing in front of the small room.
Was her hair red?
Yes, she was red-headed.
The spirit of the girl I saw in the yard, she wasn't just dead. She was murdered, and she was haunting the house to see her murderer. I couldn't say it in front of the child, so I asked Olenka to go inside. Would you kindly draw her for me? In general features, can you?
Yes.
The dead girl is in your yard, riding a bicycle. What's she doing here?
She's somehow bound to the house. She tells me, one moment. She's bound, thought the man. She says he killed her. Victims' souls only haunt their murderers as if they manage to get away with the murder. It was exactly the case.
My sister's husband, before he married her, he was driving the car in the neighboring village, and he ran over her while she was riding her bicycle. She died as a result.
The accident took place 20 years ago. The girl died at the scene, while the court ruled Petro, Olena's sister's husband, innocent, as the child appeared on the road unexpectedly.
Why didn't you tell this earlier? Bring him here.
No need to call him. He's hanging upstairs.
Yes.
Did he hang himself there? In the attic? Upstairs?
Yes.
Now we know who the hung man is.
The man committed suicide in December 2015. He didn't leave any notes or explanations.
Petros, tell me, did I see you on the ladder? Was that you who knocked it down?
Damn it, please.
What's going on? It's something terrifying.
I got scared. Mom, I got so scared.
My heart won't take it any longer. He's extremely aggressive, like it was Petro's spirit. As someone who committed suicide, he's bound to the place of his death. He was mad and restless and craved blood. And
Who does he keep coming for?
for the girl,
What girl?
Olenka?
the one who went to draw the picture.
Oh, and dear God.
Jana, he's like a madman. He's lost his mind. And the girl sees Petro.
Yes. She sees him all the time. The back shadow with blue eyes. And her father had blue eyes.
The girl didn't simply see her father. It turned out she's been on the verge of life and death. Her brother saved Olenka at the last moment.
I put my sister Olenka to bed and went out for about 20 minutes. But then I had some kind of vague, discomforting feeling, so I ran home and felt heat. She was sleeping.
When the boy entered the room, he was stunned to see that embers from the stove somehow fell on the linoleum. It had to cover over a meter, as if someone threw it out of the stove. The floor caught fire. Alexander was just in time to take his sister out of the house and call firefighters before it was too late.
We had to check how the child was doing because the girl was alone in the house. So, have you drawn the girl? Could you please show me her? Does she ever talk to you, or is she always silent?
She stands watching.
Most of all, I wanted to know why she keeps haunting that place. Even after her murderer, Olena's dad, left this world. That moment that the woman from the vision I had in Lyubov's house emerged behind the girl. She was hugging the girl, patting her head, and kept saying, "My darling." I got it all wrong, and not Alina. No, I can't bear it. She was taken away.
Who was taken away?
The mother was taken away from her child. And it was done with cruelty. The child became an orphan.
Does this mean that the girl's mother is also dead?
In Lyubov's house, I saw the woman who told me to look for Alina. It turned out that she wasn't asking me to find Alina, but her daughter, Olenka, her darling.
Olenka once told me that somebody was patting her on her head while she was sleeping. When she opened her eyes, she saw her mom, who told her, "Sleep, my darling, sleep."
Olenka's mother came to ask me for help. She was asking to save her darling. But the woman wasn't simply dead. She'd been murdered, and the murder was especially cruel. Who took the mother's life?
He did. Not only wasn't he punished for one, but he also got away when he did it for the second time.
Did Olenka's father kill her mother? But how did it happen? And then why did the man do it?
Tell me her name, please.
Larissa.
Once I tuned into the name, I again saw the image I'd seen earlier that day. Look, he approaches her from behind. Here's the table. She's standing at it. It looks like it's a kitchen. She's standing there or doesn't suspect anything. Then he grabs her like this and starts stabbing with a knife in her face.
The terrifying tragedy happened 2 years ago. Larissa was found dead in the kitchen. The woman bled to death after she'd been stabbed with a knife repeatedly.
11 wounds in her neck and the right side of her head. The forehead and the top of her head were heavily bruised. All I can say is that it was terrible. Really terrible.
Blood all over the walls, so he was trying to wash it off. He was washing the blood off. Petro not only killed his wife, but he covered up all the traces. After that, he hid in the attic and watched the family find Larissa's dead body.
He wasn't going to hang himself, but no, he wasn't.
Then what was he going to do?
It feels like he hears you scream. He hears you scream over her. When you began screaming, he realized he'd have no way out of here.
We were told my sister had gone by 10 o'clock. She stopped answering her phone at 8. And at 10, he was talking to our neighbor, cracking jokes with him. And afterward, he said he had some work left to be done. Back then, he was seen alive.
The little girl that he'd killed was next to him.
The little girl he'd killed was next to him. The child's spirit had been haunting him in his dreams and when he was awake. As a result, the man paid a high price with his own sanity.
He started losing his mind.
When he murdered Larissa, he wasn't a human anymore. It's like a demon took hold of him.
It was Larissa who was haunting Lyubov's house. She was trying to tell her sister to ask for help, then save Olenka from her father's angry spirit.
The spirit of the dead red-headed girls keeps haunting the house because she's trying to save Olenka from her father, who keeps hunting her.
Petro's spirit was very aggressive. We had to trick him out of the house and close it, and so he'll never enter it.
Do you have any of his possessions left at home?
I do.
The personal possession to bind him to, the ropes to bind him with, the bait to lure him, and fire. Elena, lock it. Have you locked it?
Yes.
The souls of people who took their own life are bound to the places where they died. The house's door is locked for Petro forever, so he won't be able to hurt anybody, and neither in this house nor outside of it.
Thank you so much. I'm genuinely grateful to you.
Thank you for helping us.
Several months after the investigation, Lubov called to say that the ritual had worked and her family was finally living peacefully.
It's so calm and quiet, and I'm not afraid anymore and can go outside. The fear is gone.
Does Olenka still see spirits? Is she scared?
No. Olenka is not scared at all. She can stay at home alone without any fear at all. Thank you so much.
Every deed has consequences, they say. The fact that the man guilty of a terrible accident got away with the child's death resulted in a tragedy not only for him, but also for his whole family. If you're impressed by this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. There are many more impressive investigations by the psychics in stock for you. An otherworldly entity is trying to take away a little boy from his parents. Can the psychics stop the murderous ghost? And what terrifying truth about the family will it reveal? You're watching Psychic Investigations, a channel of true and impressive stories. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate resonant criminal cases and unravel tangled, mystical anomalies. Oleksandr and Hanna Sosonenko, parents of a 2-year-old Ukrainian boy named Bohdan, asked the psychics for help.
Bohdan, show how you can swing.
His mother won't let Bohdan go far away from her, as she's certain the boy is in grave danger.
I'm so terrified. I can't imagine my life without him.
I worry about him a lot. He's our only child.
The boy's parents are convinced that an entity from another world is trying to take away their son.
I had a dream in which Bohdan was being chalked. When I woke up, I saw a cat sitting on his chest.
The family has no pets, however. Hanna doesn't understand how the cat could sneak into their house at night, as all the doors and windows were shut. Besides, the cat disappeared just as mysteriously as it had appeared. And after that dream,
We were in the car, and on the turn to our house, a red car drove out in front of us suddenly.
the red car almost hit the car in which the family was. The boy was sitting on his mother's lap. The only thing that saved them from the collision was that the father turned the steering wheel timely.
It swerved wildly, but I stopped it. My heart was racing.
And 2 days later, little Bohdan was close to death again.
I have this large mirror, and Bohdan was running not far from it, and it fell.
At the last moment, Hannah's uncle caught the mirror and saved the boy from death.
It could hit him on the head. And it's heavy. It's really heavy.
Panicked, the parents took all the mirrors and pictures off the walls and made sure all the ceiling lights were fixed firmly in place. But it didn't help. A few days after that, some kind of unknown force hurled Bohdan against the wall.
He was not more than 3 meters from us. There was nobody around him, but he suddenly swirled. When he rose his head, it was all bloodied.
Almost every day, the boy finds himself faced with situations between life and death. His family is certain it's not a mere coincidence.
There have been too many of these mysterious situations, too many coincidences for one kid.
When Hanna learned that the famous gypsy clairvoyant Rubina Tsibulska was nearby, conducting an investigation, she hurried to see her and ask her for help.
Hello. I really need your help. I have a little son, and I think he's in terrible danger.
What's his name?
Bohdan.
I see hands holding a little doll. and someone winds a black thread around the doll's throat, chalking it. It really looks like a ritual. To put a death spell on somebody.
He almost suffocated right before he was born. We arrived at the hospital, and everything was all right. And then suddenly his heart rate decreased, and he began suffocating.
To save the boy, the doctors performed an urgent C-section on Hana.
The situation was very, very serious, and I required assistance.
Azerbaijani psychic Hayal Alekperov agreed to help Rubina Tsibulska.
My book says we will find the answer under the white birds.
Where is this place?
The father must know it. There's a secret connected with him.
Does it mean the boy's father is to blame?
When I look at Alexander's photo, my jinns tell me Qabil and Habil. There's a story of fratricide in the Quran.
There's a story of Cain and Abel in the Old Testament. In it, one brother killed another.
We must ask Alexander if he has a brother.
I saw a man in the dream I had last night. He was all bow-backed and broken all over. He was sitting making a coffin. And there were 2 more closed coffins standing upright behind him. He told me, "Don't interfere."
Hello. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Hana.
I'm Alexander, Hana's husband. We worry about our son Bodan.
Tell me, do you have a brother?
I don't. I only have 2 sisters.
It's weird. Wait, where's the boy?
He's inside.
Hayal, what's wrong?
The board fell.
The board could have cracked his head open.
He uses it for drawing.
There was a dead man's spirit in the room next to the boy. He pushed the heavy board down. The man's spirit is about my height. And he was reaching out to Bodan as if he wanted to asphyxiate him.
Bodan, look in the mirror. Do you see yourself?
Yes.
I see a boy's figure, and I need to see who this child is. I need to summon his spirit.
It was highly dangerous to carry out any rituals while the child was around.
Go to Grandpa.
Show yourself. He's about 6 or 7. He's fair-haired and plump. Who are you? He can't speak. He's got a scar. He's showing it to me.
Danya.
Our elder son.
Our elder son, Danya.
What happened to him? Where's the scar from?
He flipped over a cup of hot water and burned his skin badly.
After that, he had a skin transplantation procedure. It all healed up, but the scar remained. It was over here.
He's gone, right? When did it happen?
3 years ago.
The boy's spirit is pointing at the house. Let's go over there. Quick.
My God. What happened here?
I hear a child's voice shouting out, "Mom, Mom!" The child is calling for help desperately. The sound is coming from here. The child is shouting here. It's a little boy. He's crying, and there's fear and panic in his eyes.
My God, what happened?
The smell of burning. Some cloth is burning.
There was a fire in our house, and he chalked.
Dear God, here at the door, I see another child's body. It's another little boy.
Our younger son. The elder and the younger, 7 and 3, Yehur and Danya.
What a nightmare! The 2 children died in a fire in this house 3 years ago.
I see a picture. The boys were alone in the house. You go outside, holding some things in your hands.
I was carrying bags, yes. I was taking laundry to my mother-in-law's.
Hannah carried clothes to her mother-in-law's house, which is nearby, to do laundry. After she loaded the clothes into the washing machine, she went back home immediately.
And I see you, Olesander, with a bundle of firewood in your arms. You also left the house.
It was January. We'd sown the seeds and needed to heat the greenhouse. And I was only away for 5 minutes at most.
Nobody could even imagine that in some 15 or 20 minutes, the house would be filled with smoke.
The firefighters had checked the wiring after that. It was in good condition.
Something made of cloth caught fire.
Toys.
According to the firefighters, the source of the fire was the toy box, which started burning.
The children were still alive when you came, but it was too late to save them.
We ran into the house, but there was a lot of smoke and we couldn't see anything. We found the kids and took them out.
We started reviving Danya and called an ambulance. They didn't admit me to the ambulance. We drove to the hospital after the ambulance, but when we got there, we were told they were dead.
My God. My God, this is so terrible. 2 children.
I see the boys can't get out of the house because somebody's hands locked the door, like a trap.
The father was in the yard, so he didn't lock the door. But after the fire started, it turned out that the door was locked.
I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't go.
The 3 of us tried to break it down, and we barely did it.
I see a boy run up here. He tries to open the door, but he can't reach the handle, and something falls on him from the hanger.
Danya, the elder of the 2 brothers, was found in the bedroom. He chocked, sitting in front of the TV, but it took everybody a long time to find the younger boy, Yehor.
Yehor was lying in the extension building. We didn't see him at once and stepped over him. He was covered with a coat. It had been on the hanger. He pulled it down. And he covered with it.
The same spirit that is hunting little Bodan took your 2 other sons.
What is this?
There are pieces of broken slate lying in front of the house. What is going on?
This is the spirit of this dead man.
But why did the man's spirit take this family's 2 sons and is hunting the other one?
You're not the only one in your family who has lost children.
My elder sister lost her first child, and so did my second sister. Her baby didn't live more than 3 days.
It looks very much like an ancestral curse. We must work at the site of your family home.
The house of Alexander's parents is nearby. Alexander's father, Vasil, invites the psychics to the yard.
My jinns are telling me to find something that is buried here. The thing brings death. The book is telling me to go that way. A woman is burying something here.
Bring him a shovel, quick.
There's nothing down here. What could be buried here? I dug everywhere.
Here, look.
Come look.
And the black thread?
Well, you look at that and...
Just what you mentioned this morning.
And one of them winds a black thread around the doll's throat and...
This is a charm to bring death to children. The magic is still active.
A woman did it. I see a man. The man had an affair with the woman and left her when she was pregnant. She was in a great pain. And she had an abortion.
My jinns say the charm was made because of a man named Vasil. Is it you?
When I checked the cards, they showed me that the man who was the primary target of the charm had left the house long ago. But how was this possible?
The name of the first owner of the house was also Vasil.
Did he leave?
Yes.
Does it mean the charm targeted the previous owner of the house? And now, Alexander's family is suffering from it.
Every child born in this house is destined to die. Did your sisters live in this house when they were pregnant?
Yes.
Did you live here when Hannah was pregnant with your other 2 children or Bodan?
No. We used to live next door.
The charm we found was indeed aimed at children. This is why Alexander's sisters lost their children who were born in that house. But Hannah never lived in his parents' house, so the charm couldn't have affected her. Something else is threatening Bodan, but first, we must get rid of this. We have to burn it and sprinkle the site with holy water. At that moment, I looked at the wall of the neighboring house and saw a picture of white birds. The birds are the clue my book gave me before the investigation. Below the birds, I see 2 spirits. One of them is a child, a little boy, and he can't talk. I saw him near your house earlier today.
He's got a scar.
But the spirit of the boy I see is not your deceased son. This is another boy, but he also has a scar on his throat. A dead man's spirit that I saw this morning is standing next to him. He was the one who dropped the board on Bohdan. Alexander, this man says he curses you.
He says, "You killed my son."
Yes.
Did you kill the boy on this place?
Yes.
Oh my God.
My jinns say the child killed the child.
I was 8 then.
How old was he?
6 or 7.
What was his name?
Yaroslav,
What happened?
the rifle shot. The bullet pierced his carotid artery. He died on the way to the hospital. I dropped the rifle and ran away.
He beckoned Yaroslav to him, took the aim, and shot. The shot ripped his head off. There was so much blood. It was terrible.
It's been 20 years since it happened, but Alexander still feels fear when he recalls that day. In the morning, his uncle arrived to visit them and left his armed rifle in the yard. Nobody remembers why the man took the rifle with him. He was probably going to go hunting.
He left the rifle unattended, and so it happened.
Little Alexander thought it was a toy and went to boast about it to Yaroslav, their neighbor's son. What happened then was the bang and shock.
The boy says he's your brother in front of God, and you killed him.
My parents were godfathers.
Wait, did your parents baptize the boy you killed?
Yes.
And his family lived next door, right?
Yes.
And then it dawned on me. This was what my book meant when it told me about fratricide. They were brothers in front of God. I feel that the boy's family hates you, and they're always cursing you.
Yes.
The neighbors were devastated by the death of Yaroslav. The boy's mother never recovered after the tragedy.
She lost her mind to drinking.
Whenever she sees me, she starts cursing me and calling me with different bad words.
She even threw stones at him.
It was an accident. It wasn't your fault.
How can I prove it? It was a murder.
The cards told me that the boy's spirit wasn't mad at Alexander for what he'd done, and he understood it had been an accident. Alexander was just a kid, and it was the responsibility of the adults, who left the rifle unattended.
Alexander's uncle was sentenced to 2 years in prison for negligence with the weapon. But ever since, Alexander has always been a murderous child in everyone else's eyes.
The spirit that is hunting your son is telling me he's the dead boy's father.
It turned out that several years after Yaroslav's death, his father, Yuri, fell from the rooftop of a residential high-rise. However, nobody knows to date whether it was an accident or suicide.
The boy's father hated you all his life, and he still hates you after his death. Your children's deaths were his revenge from the other world.
So this is who the broken man from my morning vision was. It was Yuri, the murdered boy's father. He was sitting, making a coffin. We must carry out a ritual on the site where it happened. So you can finally apologize. However, there was, of course, no guarantee that the spirit would accept his apology. Yuri's spirit, come to us. Alexander, he's standing in front of you.
Uncle Yuri, please forgive me. I didn't know what to do. I was even thinking of hanging myself. Forgive me, please.
Yaroslav, come to us too.
Yaroslav, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Forgive me, please. Uncle Yuri. Don't touch Bodan. He's my last hope.
The fire began extinguishing by itself. The spirit accepted the apology. They're gone now.
From now on, they'll rest in peace, and they won't pose any danger to your family.
Thank you so much for helping us save Bodan.
Thank you.
None of us can change our past, but we can change our future. Sometimes, to do it, you must repent of what you did and apologize to those you hurt. If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel to never miss new investigations by the psychics.